Gate 1 of Cosmic 1. Motivational evil. We begin with motivation first, and then we move on to functional gates. First, gate 1 is motivational gate. The rest of the gates are functional. Remember that. Okay, we're going to try to go over many of the arrogances. My pastor put all these together, and it's still very difficult. Arrogance has many manifestations, but just keep in mind that we might have missed one here and there. If you catch on to them, you can do your own application and figure it out. But out here, I'm just letting you know that there's a system and there are different gates, and each gate is harmful to your spiritual life and to your life in general. Gate 1, motivational evil. It deals with mental attitude sins, all based on the sin of arrogance. These sins of motivational arrogance, this is the reason why mental attitude sins are the worst. If you harbor them, if you keep that jealousy and that bitterness, etc., well, that's extremely harmful to your spiritual life. Proverbs chapter 6, verse 16 and beyond talks about the 7 worst sins. 3 of those has to do with motivation, arrogance. 3 of those has to do with sins of the tongue. And only one of them is overt, just to give you an idea as to how what God puts importance, where God puts importance, and that is in the soul, the motivation, and how terribly evil arrogance is to God. He cannot accept arrogance. All right. These sins of motivational arrogance include pride. And I'm not talking about the pride that you have in high school, but pride in terms of your excessive self-love, excessive self-esteem, or self-importance. Jealousy, bitterness, implacability. Implacability, very strong. Jealousy is the strongest one of these arrogant sins. If arrogance is the worst, but jealousy is the strongest one. Add hatred to it, and you have a person that's not going to stop. It's as simple as that. That person becomes obsessed, and that's the reason why when they accuse you or persecute you, they cannot stop, and they will not stop, and they will not stop. These are the strongest ones: jealousy, hatred. All being arrogance, of course. Arrogance is the worst sin. Implacability. Yes, a person that's implacable, you cannot stop that person. So do not be impressed whenever you see a person in the cosmic system and not stopping and expressing resilience. Do not be impressed by that resilience or anything that arises from this. This is jealousy. This is typical jealousy. It's typical hatred. Anyone can go through this. Anyone can experience this. So don't be impressed by a person in the cosmic system who is unstoppable, so to speak. He might also be receiving demon energy. And that demon energy can give him extra energy, extra resilience, extra charm, extra gift of gab, or whatever it is. Whatever is necessary to put you down, to distract you from the spiritual life. You, who's the object of attack of this cosmic person. All right. Pride, jealousy, bitterness, implacability, hatred, vindictiveness, operation overthink. subjective thinking. That could be arrogance. Oh man, I'll fall for this one too. Fear, worry, anxiety, revenge motivation, revenge modus operandi, guilt complex, self-pity. Did I put fear? Yes, fear is blasphemous. A lot of these things are blasphemous. Can you imagine fear based on insecurity? Is this going to happen? Am I going to do that? Oh my gosh, I'm fearing. Expressing fear and insecurity in the most secure plan ever known to humanity. That's what makes it blasphemous. You're maligning the character of God. We all do. We all have. All right. Vanity, pride, conceit was the original sin of Lucifer. Halel in the Greek, in the Hebrew rather. Halel is the Hebrew equivalent of this Latin word Lucifer. That's his original name. Halel. He doesn't like it. Yes, Halel. These sins also became the original sins of the woman in the garden. So she became bored in the garden and fell for the serpent's lie. She stopped paying attention to Bible class, having fellowship with the Lord Jesus Christ every single day. She started thinking about her social infidelity with the serpent. She fell for his voice. She fell for just someone being there, someone else. She fell for a novelty, something new, something that's away from the rote and the monotonous lifestyle. She fell for his intelligence. He appealed to her arrogance, her sense of inferiority. For it was God in the hierarchy first, it was man thereafter, and then woman as the third one. And he appealed to her sense of being slighted, her inferiority. And she said, oh, this garden would be better if women was on top. Women do things better. Women. We can do it better. Yes, ladies are naturally more intelligent than men in many other things, but your arrogance makes you so damn susceptible to the stupidest schemes, to the stupidest dupes. This is where you fall, the arrogance. Yes, you could be resilient, but your arrogance about it will make you weak. Your arrogance about everything will make you weak. Women are responders, and a person under authority is naturally a little bit more arrogant than those who are on top on the authority scale. So yes, that's why they tend to be a little bit more arrogant in more obvious areas. But none of us are free from arrogance, by the way. She thought that the lie was the way to better the perfect environment in the garden. From the arrogance complex rises an abnormal satisfaction with oneself. Oh, I am it. I am the one. You're it. You're it. While unsatisfaction with everyone. So it has two ways. An abnormal satisfaction with oneself, while insatisfaction with everyone. Arrogance also has the opposite of this. Arrogance has such high standards about oneself that your inability to meet those high standards every single day will make you completely unsatisfied to the point that you're preoccupied with self. You're just so unsatisfied with yourself. And that is the beginning of neurosis. It leads to great irrational fears about not meeting that standard, etc. So it could be the opposite of that. We'll define psychopathy, psychosis, neurosis right now because the terms have changed. Again, these names are not the same that Alfred Adler and Sigmund Freud used. Now it has different definitions. Okay. There are people who spend all their lives comparing themselves to other people. Of course, that's their way to build themselves up. Arrogance is thinking towards self, but if you're going to build your thinking towards yourself, you obviously need people and things too as instruments to build yourself up. So you spend your time comparing yourself with other people. Arrogance is the most basic motivational sin, and it is the basis for both moral and immoral degeneracy. Degeneracy goes both ways. Arrogance goes both ways. Arrogance is the basis of both degeneracies. And when we talk about there's a lot of degeneracy in this country. Oh, the degenerate. What is degeneracy? You normally think of degeneracy in terms of great immoral sins, people that do not shower, people that look weird, I don't know, Harry Potter when he goes into those weird neighborhoods, a lot of degenerate people. Degeneracy has to do with the increase of arrogance in a society. To the extent that people increase their arrogance, they become degeneracy. Remember that. It's something that, is it new to you? Yes, it might be new to you. The increase of degeneracy in a society is caused by the increase of arrogance in the people of that society. To the extent that we are arrogant and it's just unstopped, our arrogance is increasing, we are degenerate. Individually, collectively. And when everyone is arrogant, thinking high up here, a lot of psychotics and psychopaths are produced. It seems normal to produce them because everyone is thinking in the clouds. And so, as a result, a person will bring it a little bit more up, bring it up a notch more, because all society is already arrogant. So all these psychopaths and psychotics and neurotics are produced easily, and it seems perfectly normal. Arrogance produces inconsistencies and wide emotional swings between self-righteousness and self-pity. When everything turns out all right, when you got your way, when you have prosperity, you express self-righteousness in your arrogance. But when something does not turn your way, when you lost, when you are in adversity, etc., you express self-pity. And so that arrogance shifts between self-righteousness and self-pity depending on your circumstance. And these are wide emotional swings. That's mental instability. Arrogance is easily deceived and is vulnerable to flattery. It is very hypersensitive, and therefore it gets hurt or threatened very easily and reacts. Any area where you have hypersensitivity, you bet arrogance, you bet that you are hypersensitive and you're going to react. If you're hypersensitive about an area, you might be arrogant about that area. One of the greatest things that can happen to us is to learn some Bible doctrine and relax a little bit. Finally, that arrogance in that area is removed. We can now relax in whatever areas having to do with your family, with you not being married, with you not making your first million at the age of 40, 50, whatever, with you not something about the body, something about your cars, something about your eyebrows, etc. When you finally can relax and have a sense of humor about it, that's the beginning of happiness. That relaxed mental attitude brings about happiness. Okay. When arrogance is put under pressure, it gives rise to mental attitude sins. We call this the seesaw effect. So here's arrogance, and whatever it is, here's the arrogance. Here comes you, who's confident. Person A, you. Here's person B, arrogant. And something about you just threatens that arrogance. And dude, you push that arrogance down, you threaten that arrogance, and up rises jealousy. Up rises bitterness. Up rises vindictiveness, implacability, revenge modus operandi, revenge motivation. To try to compensate for that threatened arrogance. It is the seesaw effect. And that's why mental attitude sins demonstrate not only arrogance, but an extreme sense of inferiority, insecurity. Arrogance, one of the main attitudes of arrogance is inferiority, insecurity. But it's hard for us to understand. We see someone confident and speaking with confidence out in the street. We don't see it. We don't see that deep inside is an extremely insecure person. So, when arrogance is put under pressure, it gives rise to mental attitude sins, the seesaw effect. So this is gate 1, mental attitude sins. It eliminates the right priorities and establishes a false scale of values. The arrogance of accomplishment is a system of blasphemy and cosmic one that motivates the believer to remove the glory from God's hands and put it in his own hands. Let me repeat that, okay? The arrogance of accomplishment, now these things can be real or imagined, is a system of blasphemy. Why? What is blasphemy? Blasphemy is to malign the character of God, one of his characteristics, anything about his essence. Of course, we all commit blasphemy all the time because we do something that maligns his character. The arrogance of accomplishment is a system of blasphemy and cosmic one that motivates the believer to remove the glory from God's hands and put it in his own hands. First of all, arrogance. You increase your arrogance, and now, so you accomplish something, you increase your arrogance, and then you remove the glory from God's hands and put it into your hands. While you're doing that, you bring God from his throne and bring him down to your level, and that's blasphemy. See, arrogance has that natural effect of putting yourself above and bringing God down to your level. So arrogance is blasphemous in its nature. And we all do this in ignorance. We've all done this in the past. Thank God that he's flexible, that he's virtuous. He would have destroyed us way back. He's nothing like the Greek gods. He's nothing like those gods of mythology where they seem so anthropocentric, where human attributes are ascribed to them and they react like humans and they lust like humans. He is not like a human. He is not a human like us. Okay. Proverbs 16:18, Proverbs 11:2, Proverbs 29:23, Isaiah 13:11, James chapter 3 verse 14. Okay, let's go over a few of these verses. I cannot rush. Proverbs 11 something, right? Proverbs 6. Okay, so the 7 worst sins, 6:16. There are 6 things the Lord hates, and 7 that are detestable to him: haughty eyes, arrogance, a lying tongue, the sins of the tongue, hands that shed innocent blood, the first and the only mentioned overt sins, murder, a heart that devises evil, wicked schemes. This is again a motivational sin. Arrogance, feet that are quick to rush to evil. Now this is also functional evil in gate and cosmic one. And this is also motivation, arrogance. A false witness who pours out lies, again, sins of the tongue. A person who stirs up conflict in the community, again, having to do with verbal sins. So 3 mental attitude sins, 3 verbal sins, and only one sin that is overt.